In our most recent video, we covered the basic estate planning documents that really everyone should have in place. But then we also mentioned we'd be making today's video on a specific estate planning question that we often receive, which is, should I have a trust? Now, look, there are a ton of different types of trusts that people set up for different purposes. So really, we don't have time to go into all of that. What we can do, though, is share with you the 3 most common reasons people do decide to set up a trust and see if any of those appeal to you. And then maybe that would be kind of a jumping off point for a deeper conversation with your estate planning attorney. So, reason number 1 people often set up trust is privacy. Privacy. Now, in this previous video on the basics of estate planning, we introed an important concept, which is that of probate. Probate is the process by which your estate is settled and your property is distributed to your heirs. Now, probate is a public process. So this is an opportunity for any creditors out there that may be able to make a claim against your assets to know what assets you have and to make that claim. So it is a public process. So reason number 1 for a trust, if you place assets into a trust, as I mentioned, there are different kinds of trusts, but if they're in a trust, well, that trust holds legal title to those assets and the trust doesn't die, right? So upon your passing, really nothing has changed such that a probate court would need to enter the picture. And so really the assets in the trust can be distributed according to your wishes in the trust without any type of public proceeding. An important note here is only assets within the trust would be applicable to this point, meaning if you have assets outside of the trust, you may still have to go through the probate process. Reason number 2. So another common reason people will set up trust is for security. Now, I mean a particular type of security. Specifically, I mean from liability, right? So let's imagine you've worked so hard to accumulate all of this wealth and someone brings a lawsuit against you, particularly in the case of an unfounded lawsuit that we've all heard kind of horror stories about. And all of a sudden, all of your assets would be subject to the claims of this creditor, of this person bringing a lawsuit against you. It's kind of a worst case scenario. So for that reason, some people will set up certain types of trusts to shelter assets against potential lawsuits. And so a lot of times we'll see people setting up their businesses or real estate or other types of assets in the name of these certain types of trusts, such that legally those assets aren't owned by the person in question. So technically in that case, those assets that are titled into the name of the trust, they're not even available to have a claim brought against them because they're not on your personal balance sheet. And finally, reason number 3 people frequently set up trust is one that we call, it's a strange name to it, so bear with me, control from the grave. Control from the grave, meaning if you have particular, very specific wishes with regard to how you'd like your property to be distributed to your heirs, perhaps a trust can make sense. So for example, let's say you're someone who has a significant amount of assets, you're going to leave these behind to your children. But one or more of your children isn't particularly responsible just yet, although we know they'll get there, but not just yet. And so you're writing out these instructions in the will. You can add some really creative terms and conditions as to when and how much and under what conditions those assets could be distributed to your heirs. So that would be control from the grave. Okay, so let's sum up. In the previous video, we covered the basic financial planning documents. This video, we talked about trusts. There are different types of trusts, different reasons one would pursue a trust. We mentioned 3 today. Ultimately, what you want is a comprehensive financial plan and one that coordinates with your estate plan. So frequently, we will sit with our clients along with their estate planning attorney and have a dialogue about what the need is, if any, for a trust. And so hopefully this video was helpful as you explore these topics. Certainly give us a call if we can be of assistance as you navigate these ideas. Thanks.